All right, we're back down here at Petty Brothers Racing, Moonshine Speed Shop, the Chiefs Pit, and we've got two honored guests, which is Will Lynn from Lakeland, Florida, Travis Owens from, where are you from originally?
Parts unknown.
Parts unknown. I don't.
Well, you've been all over the place since
Yeah.
you've been alive. So
Yeah.
anyway, well, we've been trying to keep this project behind us under wraps for a while, and it's turned into a tick over 4-year project, and we're down to about 6 or 8 line items that other people's going to do outside of here, and we're just going to talk a little bit about why we got involved and why Travis got involved and why Will got involved. But we're real proud of our progress so far, and this car is a 1974 Daytona 500 winner. And Will, do you want to step into where you come
How I
in?
got rooked into it.
That and
Okay.
you was from
Uh,
Lakeland.
I had an old car I was restoring, and I don't have a shop, so I conned Timmy into letting me bring the motor over
we're
here.
going that route.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just being honest.
That was cool.
And I came over here to work on that old car, and kind of got done with it, and I got rooked into helping on this thing, but it's been a lot of fun.
And I feel like our project, our goal was to do it just like they would have done it at Petty Enterprises at the end of 1973, preparing for the 500. And we've done. I feel like, in my eyes, we've done that and more, because we've spent more time on some of this polished stuff than they probably would have had time to do. Don't you agree?
I agree. We probably went over and beyond on some stuff, but you got to do it right, the way they would do it, the way the guys we knew that worked on this car would do it. So I felt that's how we did it.
So, a little story about the car. So it gets here in, I think, March of 2020, and that's right when COVID was scaring everybody, and nobody really knew what was happening there. And it's about as soon as it got dropped off, the world shut down. So it's sat here for a little bit. We did work on it as, you got a little bit more used to the idea that the pandemic was going on or whatnot. But we got started on it, and it kind of dawned on me that Travis's daddy had worked on this car. My daddy had worked on this car. And I reached out to Travis and I said, hey, your dad, Randy, worked on this car. And we found a lot. Since then, we have found a lot of photos of it. And we're going to try to interject them in here and there. But
Yeah. I mean, you called me like you got the car in what, April or March?
I think March of
You called me
2020.
like,
So
it was it was December, first December, middle of December, somewhere around in there of 20.
We're a tick over 4 years
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
But we're close now, and that's why I purposely not put a lot out there. There's been pictures that leaked out here and there. It's kind of hard to hide a Richard Petty car in the middle of a shop floor that's a working shop. So with that being my excuse. So Travis agreed to do it, and he's been pretty much in charge. Him and Will's been in charge of the car. It took us a while, and we've had a few arguments about it, and the old
color
team
should it be?
manager over there come out and
Daily
give me
basis.
Yeah.
and I was like, well, I think we should just paint the outside. Oh, no, we're going to paint it.
It was when I started. It was a 2-month project.
Yeah, well, no, so we
You
could
were
get it
just
done 6 months.
Yeah, you just gonna put a motor in it and it was gonna roll.
But it actually did not run the 500 with a 426 Hemi. It would have had a wedge-headed, still Hemi bottom end, but it would have had a wedge head, like a 440 head motor. And
The Hemi had already been outlawed. But
yeah, and they'd already been running plates. And if you'll remember, in '74, the reason why I even got involved, we had small block stuff here, and I thought they would want a small block in it because it was sold with
Yeah.
the dummies
Would have a
non-working.
318 or something in it.
I don't even know. 340, let's just call it that. Might have been a 318, but it was just a shell of a motor. And I said, well, we've got the right stuff to put it together for a 1974 small block version. And the people kept asking for a Hemi. And I was like, well, it would have had a big block in it or a small block.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, which I already made it longer, We found a Hemi.
Yep.
That had supposedly had come from Petty's, which we have verified that everything in that engine was done like it was done here in the late 60s, early 70s with that particular engine. And I called some old Chrysler engineers that had worked there, and they said, I said, how many of the race versions from 68, 9 to 70, 71 would that have had? He said somewhere between 75 and 100 is all the race versions they ever had. Now, there were different style box intakes, the rat roasters,
Yeah.
with the bigger carburetors and the smaller carburetors. But as far as the oil pan, internal dual oil pump, and all that stuff, they were only 75 or 100. So I had no idea how rare it was, but they were just wanting a Hemi. The customer was. So
Yeah.
anyway, so tell us some stuff about the car that's been fun for you, Travis.
Just learning the history of it. I didn't realize I'd seen this car my whole life. It sat in a trophy room for ever.
Yeah.
And then, it's gone to the owner it has now, and just learning how many races it's ran and what it done afterwards.
It was slated as the winningest Richard
Yep.
Petty car ever.
The winningest Richard Petty car ever.
Yep.
It ran from what, 73 to 77, probably into 77.
Sometime in '77
Yeah.
was when the Charger body went away because it outlasted its existence.
And just me and Will's talked at some of the stuff they done back then, going back and taking. To go back a little bit, we took this car all the way down, stripped it to bare metal, sandblasted it, and we're putting it back together. But just seeing how they done stuff in 72, 73, 4.
Well, it's a '72 chassis. 'Cause
Yeah.
the little plate was
The
on
little
it.
plate was November of 72.
But it was probably as a road runner,
Yep.
and then it was reskinned as a Charger.
Yeah, it probably ran its last race. We were guessing probably at Riverside as a road course car or something. I mean, just
Yeah, because it had the gas.
Yeah.
Right side.
and yeah, but just finding out about it, like the disc brakes, all that stuff.
Wait a minute. So one of the funny parts that you two got into is like, I've never worked on a torsion
Oh.
bar car or a leaf spring car,
I've
and
never-
I'm like, well, I don't guess really I have either as far as a race version.
Yeah, that's
I'd never seen one in person. I've seen them in pictures, but I've never seen one in person.
So it's been a learn as you go.
it was a learn as we go. Yeah, yeah. This car was I was a year old when this car was. Well, actually, I was it was built 2 weeks before I was born.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, but we were taking the K member out that day, and Will goes, "Man, I never worked on a torsion bar."
And you looked at each other. You had this
I looked at
funny
him. I
look.
said, "What makes two of us?"
And leaf springs.
Thank God we can take pictures on iPhones now.
Yeah, I mean, we've got hundreds of pictures of this thing. So the other interesting part, which I didn't know until we got involved, because it had very sparse brake system. It had the discs or the calipers on the front. We had
Yeah.
nothing on the rear.
Yeah.
And according to after we got involved with it, we figured out this was the first disc brake car that Petty's had. And the backstory of that is he blew a tire going into 3 and was able to get on pit road and capitalize on Donnie Allison's misfortune or whatever. I think he blew up, whatnot. But there was several things that just went their way. Another classic example of Richard Petty things going his way at Daytona, which sometimes it went the other way.
Yeah. I was gonna say he probably gave as many away as he got.
And he'll probably
And
tell you
he'll tell
that.
you that.
He'll probably be mad at us for talking about it.
Yeah, what was he say? Better lucky than good.
Yeah, and Daddy always said that. He said,
Yeah.
"I'd rather be lucky than good any day." So,
Yeah.
but that was he said it took, and Will can attest to this because he come along and like he was at the race, but he can remember when they did have troubles or blew a tire. It'd take a lap and a half to get these cars woed up at 180 miles an hour, whatever
With
they're
drum
running.
brakes on.
So he was able to get to the pits. He stopped these old disc brakes, and he's told John Hayworth this
Yeah.
that's what won him the race was being able to get in the pits and then capitalizing on
Yeah.
Donnie Allison's misfortune.
And John done a lot of research and work for us on this brake system.
John has been
And
one
he
of
was
these outside guys and there's been dozens, and there's going to be more before.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get it done in the next 2 or 3 months. But
Yeah, we'll have another episode once we get it done, I guess.
well, we're definitely going to have a little film and
Yeah.
hopefully a barbecue. Maybe our old tight butt over
Celebration.
there. Spurs. Will, you got anything else on it?
Probably what amazed me the most is how much we called it stock car racing still do today, but there's hardly any parts on there that are stock in today's world. And this car, like even the disc brakes, like you talked about, there weren't aftermarket parts on it. They were what kind of car were they off of? They were streetcar
They
brakes,
come
right?
off something that was on the street.
Lincoln Continental, I think is what
A
they said.
Lincoln or something. Disc brakes and the brake pedals, the steering column. The majority of this car was actually a Dodge Charger or whatever the chassis was originally.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you look at the
Grown
ones-
men drove these race cars.
yeah, you look at the ones that are out there today, and it's almost all aftermarket parts.
Did it have a power steering pump on here?
No, it's not.
No.
No.
And no cool suit. And
Yeah.
The way that Will, Travis, myself has took every piece off this car that was already existing on the car, refurbished it, rebuilt it, and put the right stuff in it. It did take longer than what I originally anticipated, Travis. I agree with you there. But
one of the things that we struggled with was Travis still works on cars, but we all were in the sport for so long. This isn't the way we would have fixed it in today's world. So we had to keep reminding ourselves we could fix that better before we put it back on there. But we were going back with how the car raced.
That's exactly
And
right.
There's a lot of workmanship on there that would not be approved in today's world, but it's how it was raced back
Yeah,
then.
you got to remember what they had to work with,
Yeah.
and like you said, the stock parts. There's stock parts on it, but some of them modified.
Yeah,
And
a lot of them.
Yeah, and it's nice work. And but yeah, it was like you can fix it to 2024 standards, or you can go like Timmy said earlier. We worked on it like it was the winter of '73, and we're going to Daytona.
and that's when we get done. Everything about this car, even redoing the seat, because we always went down with a fresh seat. Now, during the event, he would have gray duct tape all over it and
Yeah.
different padding and stuff. But
Yeah.
the seat's going to be like a fresh build. But I was just laughing. Will Lynn can do more with just a rag and some sort of polish than most people can do with buffers and sanders and all.
Yeah, well.
I've got hours of polishing that bumper to get it re-chromed, but it's still got Richard Petty's,
Still
Where
sandblasted.
he hit
kiss
somebody.
somebody, knock them out of the way.
Yeah,
And it's still blasted from running at places like
Yeah.
Daytona.
yeah.
They're still pitted from the sand.
Yeah.
We left it like that. Could have fixed it where it was perfect, but it wouldn't have been like it was raced.
And going back to,
Yes, sir.
I feel like talking about what we learned from the car is some of the guys that's come by and told us stories about the car
That actually worked on
that
it.
actually worked
Yeah.
on it, and also I felt like we've done a good job at outside help that we've needed. We've reached out to people that actually worked at Petty Enterprises at some point in time that had it
or was taught by.
or taught by. 'em.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like we've done a good connection, with all that
Didn't
stuff.
you have a find a setup sheet?
Yeah, or a build sheet. We wouldn't really,
This is all you.
yeah, I found
So
it.
after I talked to Travis, going back, we're going back and forth here a little bit, if you don't mind. But Travis actually found his daddy's setup sheets that he had handwritten in pencil,
Yeah.
and this setup was on here.
Yes, close. Yeah.
So yeah.
So he had a notebook of the cars. I guess they would have a spiral, like a little one subject spiral notebook. And it was more of a build sheet than it was a setup sheet, but I guess he didn't have nothing.
Well, he was taking notes.
He was taking notes on how to put it back together and took it apart and all that, and we kind of had a little bit of notes on what torsion bars was in it or what kind of radiator was in it and leaf springs and that sort. But
and would be leaf spring and torsion bar setups that we had no clue.
yeah.
And then Richie Barr's actually done us a little.
Yeah,
note
Richie.
card.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that toolbox.
Plus, he's made us
Yeah.
the original Racer's Edge, which we'll send a picture of that.
Ended up getting the original axles for the car. We had no axles.
Billy
for it.
Bisco.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so we told him what we were doing, and he said, "Hey, I think I've got some axles to fit it," which they're so odd. There's no other. I've never seen none that length or even the size spline. So, like Will said, all this stuff was stock somewhere between the 60s and 75, 76, 7. But they run this stuff till it was worn out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, anyway, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll have more on this car later.